not that. Okay. Sorry, my computer's been really laggy. Okay.
Actually, go back to that.
Sorry.
You had the Sanskrit name for the zodiac signs.
Oh yeah, that was another talk someone gave at Bhakti Studio. So it's just been
Oh,
in the slides.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we have that. That's like at least 6 months old now. It's a relic.
Crazy. All right. I thought this would be fun to talk about the topic in a funnier, light manner. But the question is, when you play board games, are you the peacemaker, the rule enforcer, or the one flipping the board because you're just too frustrated that you are not doing the way you want to? Um, it's just a way for us to reflect on how we respond to that moment. There's no right answer. It's literally just how we respond. Does anybody want to start us off? Anyone feeling passionate about board games and want to give their pledge?
I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I am the rule enforcer. I'm one of the people where when you open up a new game, I will go read the instructions in the box and then keep checking the instructions slash rules like as the game is played. And if there's something that I think is not right, I'm going to go check it in the rules.
I see that for you. I remember us playing Uno as kids and we would make up our own rules. I don't know if you guys have played Uno, but it's just so fun to make up rules in, in that game. So like one rule would be that I think Uno's original rule is like you have like an action card, it a certain color, so you can't pile up the same action card even if it's in a different color. And that used to be one of the rules, but we said no to that and we made up our own rules. So I don't think I'm a rule enforcer for sure.
I'd have to say that it depends on the complexity of the game. Um, Something like Uno, I mean, that's if somebody's doing something at obvious break of the rules and go, oh no, we're not supposed to do that. But
Yeah.
I mean, the whole purpose of the game is to have fun. But um, my daughter, when she would play, this is like when she was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, she would
Oh.
get so upset if she didn't win. And I said, okay, you won these last 3 games. Do you see me getting upset with you because you won? Okay, and I win, and or your mother wins, and you get all go to all the pieces. And it's like, we're just here to have fun. If you win, fantastic. If you don't, congratulations to the person that win. You know?
So do you think you're not a competitive person when it comes to these games, Graham?
I'm competitive to the point where, wow, hey, it's a good thing if I win, but I'm not going to go all to pieces if I
Yeah.
lose out, especially if I'm playing with family or friends.
Yeah. Like you know the essence of the game and you won't complain if something is just like not going your way.
We would play Lord of the Rings Monopoly.
Wow. I want to
Yeah.
play.
And that was fun.
I
And
didn't even know
again,
they made those.
huh?
Sorry, I was saying I didn't even know they made those.
Oh yeah, there's so many variations. When I was in Sweden with my dad and my sister, um, they had a Swedish version of Monopoly. So instead of Boardwalk, it was, all the main areas of Stockholm.
Wow.
So, and then my dad says, "Well, why would you get one?" I said, "Yeah, just to practice, enough Swedish, so in case I have to flee the United States in case Pat Robertson wins the election. And he saw you're crazy.
That's really funny.
But I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. That
Like that.
as a board game, as well as video. And
Oh yeah.
in that, you're not really you're part of a team, and you're there to accomplish a mission, and you're not, okay, well, I got more points than you do, and who cares? It's more the camaraderie, enjoying the game, and going against the designs of the people that actually created the modules. Or, you'd have, these referees that would create their own scenarios, and that you would, navigate through those. And it was more the interaction. So that's where, I'm not necessarily a peacemaker, except if somebody gets into an argument, hey, you guys, we're having fun here. Somebody breaking the rules, that's up to the referee.
For sure.
And I'm definitely not the person that flips the board.
I like your response, Graham. And do you have something to share?
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
Oops, I was muted. I was just gonna add to the, I guess, icebreaker. And I was gonna say, I think I'm all of them depending on how I'm doing in the game. If I'm winning, I'm the pacemaker. I'm like, okay, guys, keep it going. Or if I'm not doing so well, I'm the rule enforcer. I'm like, no, you like touched the die the wrong way. You used fun of 6 incorrectly.
Oh, are you saying you're just a cheater?
No. That's not what I'm saying.
Sorry,
Yeah.
complete.
But yeah, I was just saying, like, for myself, it's been a while since I played board games, but I can see myself doing all of those things.
For sure.
Again, when my daughter would get upset, I would say, okay, and a certain amount of rules. I mean, I would tell her, look, you can cheat if you want to, but that takes the fun out of it, because you didn't earn it. You got there by cheating. So, oh wow, I've got 16 million points. Okay, how'd you get those points? Oh well, I stole, or I fudged. And I had to tell her, okay, that takes the fun out of it. I mean, yeah, it's no fun losing, but okay, again, we're here to have fun. We're not here to just do cutthroat. There is a game that my parents, had an aunt in Portland who, her family would play this game called Spite and Malice. You drop a card, usually the Queen of Hearts, and it would just, everybody would panic, and they would just bicker back and forth. And that's why it was called Spite and Malice.
Oh my God. These are so fun. We should have a board game night.
Yeah. In person.
Yes. I will fly just to play board games with you guys.
All right. I look forward to that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I see we have some new people in our session today. I think I'm seeing Ren and Jamia, if I'm saying your name right. Thank you both for joining. Feel free to give an introduction if you'd like. I want to just say hi, but there's no pressure, of course. Okay, maybe we'll come back in the
Let me ham it up here.
All right, then let's maybe start with the talk for tonight. So we have the talk today by Radhanath Swami. Many of you have probably heard about him, but if not, he has been a lifelong monk for a long time, and his journey has inspired millions of people around the world. He actually hitchhiked to India and found his way to Bhakti Yoga and since then, in India, actually, he found his spiritual teacher, who's Srila Prabhupada, who came to the West to give the knowledge of Bhakti Yoga to people here. So since meeting him, he's been practicing and teaching people about Bhakti Yoga, and he has a really good initiative called Govardhan Eco Village in India. And it's really how a sustainable community is. It has yoga, Ayurveda, um, so many beautiful things, and he's really helped nurture that community and many folks. So excited to hear from him with all of you. Maybe you've read some of his books. I know it's called The Journey Home, and then there's one called The Journey Within. So yeah, I'll send the links at the end of the talk. But yeah, this is given at Google. So I'm just gonna start the video and just give me a thumbs up if you guys are able to hear it. And yeah, whenever we want to pause, maybe we'll take a pause right in the middle to discuss some reflections and talk through it. Okay.
Om Agyantimidandasya Gyananjanachalakaya Chakshurun Milidham Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to be with all of you here at the headquarters of Google this afternoon. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Throughout the world, your company, Google, and of course you know better than me, is so highly respected as being one of the most pleasing places to work in. And how that's possible in this age where there's so much conflict and people always trying to find something else is something very special. And of course, what you are contributing to society is literally affecting practically every person on Earth's life. So of course, along with influence comes great responsibility. But I congratulate you and your company for what you are contributing. Today's subject, conflict resolution. It can be approached from so many different perspectives. And if you're going to invite a Swami to Google, then obviously you're going to hear a spiritual perspective. It's one of the most difficult things in this world today to cooperate. What is the core reason why? Why is there conflict between family members? Between people of the same company, of the same nation? Conflict between different nations? Conflicts with people within the same religion, what to speak of other religions? Practically the news every day, it's about conflict. It's about me and you, or us and them. And from a spiritual perspective, the core root of that conflict is a conflict within our own lives. A disharmony between the body and the mind, a disharmony with the mind with itself, and ultimately a disconnection between the body and mind, the intelligence, and our true self, our hearts, our souls. So much of what we do is really disconnected from our own hearts, what to speak of our souls. Because we're so allured by external conceptions, misconceptions, and concerns that we forget the larger picture, or let us say, the higher principles that really life is about. I knew a man who I just lived 2 blocks from when I was a little boy. And he was the wealthiest man in our neighborhood. And anyways, I kind of left home when I was a teenager and went to Europe and then hitchhiked to India, and I never came back. But I met somebody, my old friend Gary, and he told me what happened. This person, before he died, he gave his entire fortune to his 2 sons. And he told them how to spend it. One son bought a beautiful farm, gigantic property in Oregon, and got horses, pedigree horses, and got an airplane, and got a boat, and really nice cars, and got married and had children. And that was his father's money. And he invested it in ways that it grew. The other son got involved with people who influenced him in a different way. And they convinced him, you can triple your money if you just join us. And he did. It was a narcotics arrangement. And he invested in that the first time. And he got caught. And it was obviously a large sum. To this day, he's been in prison for 35 years. So they took the same money and used it for a different purpose because of the influence of the people that was around them. So we're all very much affected by our environment. And we all have choices who we're going to associate with and who we're not going to associate with. And it's very important in our lives on every level that we keep focused on a higher principle. Because if we're not focused on that higher principle, there are going to be so many temptations and so many fears that are going to drag us down. Us and them. Spiritual platform, when we're actually connected to our source, to our soul, and we understand our relationship with the Supreme Source or with God, then we see more in terms of we. The more we empower each other, the more we're empowered. That's a higher vision. The lower vision is, let me
looks like it dropped out.
push other people down so I could go up. Not far from here is the Muir Woods. How many of you have been there? Please raise your hands. Well, I live in Mumbai, so for me it's really a distant place. But every year I go there, and I take a walk with my dear friend and brother, Vaisheshika Prabhu. And we usually try to find a very secluded area where we could just walk and sit and talk among the redwood trees. One year as we were walking, we came upon a large group of tourists, and they were talking a lot, so we wanted to just walk by them really fast. But as we were walking by, we heard the forest ranger, who was in the middle of that circle. He said something that really attracted my mind. He said, "I am going to tell you the underground secret of the redwood forest." Now, I was a teenager in the 1960s, and many of you were there, and many of you heard about that era of American history, and we were really attracted to underground secrets. So I said, let's listen. And he told a story. He said, these trees are the biggest, tallest trees on earth, the sequoia and redwoods. Usually for a tree to grow and sustain, some hundreds of years old, some of them are over 1,000 years old. They have to have really deep roots. And there's really no trees in the world that have deep enough roots to support what a redwood is. The redwood trees don't have deep roots. And they're on hilly terrain, which makes them very vulnerable. And it's loose soil. And in this area, there have been devastating earthquakes over the 1,000 years that they've been standing. There have been massive blizzards, windstorms. How do they keep growing? And then he revealed the underground secret. The roots of the redwood tree, underground, they grow outward. Why? They're specifically growing, searching for the roots of other trees. And as soon as two roots meet, they embrace. They wrap around each other, forming a permanent connection. They support each other. Practically every root is connected to a root of another tree all around them. And in this way, every tree in the entire forest is directly or indirectly connected, supporting every other tree. The unity is their strength. And even little tiny redwoods that are just coming out of the ground are very, very vulnerable. But the roots of the giant ancient trees come and let them wrap around them and give them their full support. So in this world, we are subjected to many storms. Sometimes nice sunny days also. And there are earthquakes in our lives, individually, collectively, on many levels. There's that famous saying, united we stand, divided we fall. This is a beautiful lesson of nature. Any of our strength cannot compare to unified strength. Our own human body. We have so many organs within the body. Each organ is a different shape, a different color, and performs a completely different function. The lungs cannot do what the heart does. The brain cannot do what the kidneys do. The kidneys cannot do what the knees do. The pancreas cannot do what the gallbladder does. So they all have a very, very special function. And the stomach is actually supplying food to every other part of the body. What if the stomach were to say, you're all depending on me, it's about me. I'm going to keep this food for myself, right? I'm getting all these nutrients and I'm getting all this food and everybody wants it and everybody needs it, but it's mine. And you're depending on me. And I'm going to keep it for myself. What happens to the stomach? And what happens to all the other parts of the body? You see, a healthy human body is when every part of the body honors, respects, and appreciates every other part. And we recognize, however big or ever small, whatever color or whatever shape, whatever function, we're all part of a whole. A healthy body, every part is serving the whole. And in serving the whole, they're serving every other part. The health of a stomach is it serves every part of the body. The heart doesn't want to keep the blood for itself. The health of the heart is it's supplying blood to every part of the body. The health of the eye is not just to try to see. It's to give direction to every part of the body. And when any part of the body is not in harmony with every other part, it's disease. It suffers and everything else suffers. The same principle as the redwood trees. Seva, or service, is the higher principle. But the ego, which in Sanskrit is ahankar, is always trying to deceive us into thinking it's about me, even at the expense of others. And what is depression and anxiety and incredible suffering from stress and all of these things? It's actually the core of those problems on the level of the ego. Because we're expecting so much and we're just not getting it. But if we do get it, then the nature of the ego is to become arrogant and condescending toward those who don't get as much. That ego is the root disease of so many of the problems in this world, individually and collectively. But it's so powerful. How can we actually be liberated from that? The beginning is to recognize that our real unity and our real prosperity is based on uniting in a higher principle. And it begins when we ourselves individually take the responsibility to live according to those higher principles. In my own life, when I was 8 years old, my mother told me that she said, everyone loves your father, and everyone loves me, but we don't love each other anymore. We're going to separate. Now, for an 8-year-old boy, and I never heard of divorces in those days, it was just so confusing to me. my mother and father don't like each other, and they're gonna go different directions. I felt so disoriented. I felt so bewildered. I felt such pain in my heart. I couldn't say a word. I just sat there and cried. And my mother looked at me and didn't expect that reaction. And then I jumped up and I ran out the door of her bedroom, and I ran down the stairs of our little house, and I ran out the front door, and I ran down my driveway, and I ran across the street, and I ran across the block, and I went to a little forest. And she couldn't find me. When my father came home driving in his car, at that time when I was 8, my father was the largest car dealer of a car called the Edsel in all of Chicagoland. And he didn't sell any of them. It was one of the biggest disasters in automobile history. He went bankrupt. So he was struggling. When he came home, I listened with my ear at the door of their bedroom to hear what they were going to speak. My mother told my father how I reacted to what they had already decided. There was complete silence. And then I heard them both say, "For the sake of our children, we are going to make this work." It wasn't easy for them. They had serious disagreements. But somehow or other, they found a higher principle. And they worked through those things that were impeding them from embracing that higher principle. And incredibly, in a few years, I had never seen any two people love each other as much as them. They were completely like one heart and two bodies. They really appreciated, they really supported. When my mother passed away, they were married 58 years. Real love is not just a romantic attraction that comes and goes. Real love is not just a compatibility that whatever I think is what you think, and whatever you think is what I think, and I expect this of you, and you expect this of me, and if you don't reach my expectations, then there's something wrong with you. Real love is based on a serious commitment of responsibility to a higher principle. And then it's not just a sensual mental thing, it really comes from the heart. They were completely together on a higher principle. And I was just a little 8-year-old boy, and I was watching all this. And you watch things that affect you. You know, things that are very theoretical, you see it and you forget it. But when something comes to your life when it's somewhat traumatic, you really learn from it. That's just the way human nature sometimes is. What was that principle? It was like a foundation to my own spiritual life. I want to find that higher principle. Because as I grew up, I was working with people who were of African American descent while in high school, and I saw how much they were discriminated against. They didn't have a chance to really succeed in the United States of America in the 1950s and 60s. Probably 95% really didn't have that chance. Constitutionally they did, but socially no. So that same principle I learned from my parents' example, that there is a higher principle. I joined the civil rights movement. And I joined the counterculture. Because, the Vietnam War just didn't make sense. It didn't seem like a war based on real ideals or values. It seemed like a war that was just due to a lack of communication between the two countries. That's the way it seemed to all of us. It was either based on business or lack of communication. Is there really a purpose? We didn't understand if there was. So there were so many conflicts. And that's when I heard Gandhi say, you have to be the change you want to see in the world. And I understood if I want to actually be a part of the solution rather than part of the problem, I have to change myself. And in my own life, it put me on a spiritual journey. To really find harmony with myself. The principle of yoga, or for that matter, according to the literal definition, religion also, is to reunite, to bind back, to create harmony between our actions and our words, with our hearts, with our souls, to harmonize the body, the mind, with the living force. And what is that living force? In the Bible it is said, what profiteth a person if they gain the whole world but they lose their immortal soul? That's a universal principle. In the Bhagavad Gita there's a very, very profound definition of that soul. Najayate mriyate va kadachit. The soul is never born. It never dies. The soul by nature is eternal, full of knowledge, and full of joy. And what is that joy? It's the joy of love. To love and to be loved. And true love, Savaipung Sangparo Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Hokshaje. True love is ahoitaki apratihata. It's not selfish. It's not arrogant. It's based on true care. And when you water the root of the tree, naturally that water extends to every part of the tree, the leaves, the flowers, and the twigs. So when we harmonize our actions and our words, our bodies and our minds, with our own true self, the soul, then naturally from that point, we harmonize the soul with the Supreme Soul, or with God. In my tradition we call Krishna. There are many names. And when we harmonize ourselves with the Supreme Source, then like watering the root of the tree, we're harmonized with everything and everyone. There's a lot of environmental problems in the world today. And some people who've really studied it carefully say it's a severe crisis. But it's not an environmental crisis. It's a crisis in human spirit. When we're disconnected from ourselves, when we're disconnected from God, what happens? We become disconnected with other people. And we start seeing the differences, and because of arrogance, we're full of fear, we're full of with a desire to exploit. We have an obsessive need to feel ourselves superior to others. Why? That obsessive need to feel I am better than other people is because inside we're hollow, we're shallow, we're in poverty. When I met Mother Teresa in 1971, she told that to me, that the biggest problem in the world is hunger, not of the belly. Give some food, you can help that. The heart. She said, in my travels, whether I'm with the richest people in London or New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco, or whether I'm with poor little villagers, people have a hunger of the heart. There's only one thing that could satisfy the hunger of the heart: to love and to be loved. And when we're disconnected from that love, we're hungry. And then we have so much, we need so much intoxication, we need so much sex life, we need so much various forms of entertainment, we need so much ways of just forgetting that hollowness that's within our heart. But when we actually discover who we are and what we really have, then we understand through our business, through our occupation, through our relationships, we're not trying to grab something to fill the void. We have so much pleasure within. Our greatest joy is to share it. To share it through our wealth, to share it through our intelligence, to share it through whatever influence we have in this world, to share it with our loved ones, and ultimately we see all beings as our loved ones. And we recognize that we have a harmonious connection with the environment as well. If we're connected to ourselves, then we won't be thinking in terms of greed. Exploiting the environment means endangering every living being on this planet in a small way or a big way. For me, that's not something that a thoughtful, connected person wants. Because if we care about others, we care about the environment, we care about them. Whether a person is black or white or red or yellow or brown, or whether a person is rich or poor or Eastern or Western, or from one religion or another religion, or whether one is an elephant or a cow or a dog or a cat, wherever there's life, there's a sacred part of God. And when we're connected to our own self, we feel the connection of every living being. The Gita tells Vidyavanaya Sampane Brahmani Gavihastini Suni Chaiva Swapakicha Pandita Samadarshana. This means that true wisdom, true knowledge is not just about how much data we store in our brain. It's about being able to see every living being according to our inner spiritual connection with them, and therefore seeing life as sacred, and seeing the equality, like the different parts of the body, seeing themselves in relation to the whole body, not seeing themselves separated from that. And the Bible tells the same thing. It's the first and great commandment. To love God with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, all your soul. And what is the natural consequence of such love? That you love your neighbor as yourself. Everyone's our neighbor. The trees, the air, all the different kinds of people and animals. Everyone is our neighbor. That disconnect is what makes us instruments of conflict ourselves, and so vulnerable to falling into the influence of the conflicts that's all over the place and just getting swept up, sucked in, and just being a part of it. When it is said, stand out from among men and be separate, it doesn't just mean becoming a monk and leaving society. It also means living right within society, but being in the world but not of the world. In other words, with that strong connection, with that foundation, with our roots actually connected to ourselves and connected to each other, we learn that there is no greater joy in life than to live with integrity and compassion. That, to a cultured person, integrity and compassion is wealth. The numbers in a bank account, the amount of property that are in our name, the amount of nations that we conquer, that's not wealth. Because it doesn't bring any happiness to the heart. Things could give some pleasure to the body and mind, but cannot touch the heart. Only love can touch the heart. It is said that we should love people and use things to express our love. Where does conflict come in? When we love things and use people to get them and keep them. And things means prestige. Things means power. Things means wealth of all these different gross and subtle material forms. But what children need to understand is real wealth is in our integrity and our compassion. Because those are principles that are based on love. Higher principles. And when we make that connection ourselves, and when like-minded people who are striving for that embrace their roots with each other through our affections, then wonderful things can happen in this world. No one should ever think that I'm too small to make a huge difference in the world. Because the energy of even one good deed affects the entire planet beyond what we can perceive. There's a saying, you can tell how rich you are by counting how many things you have that money cannot buy. Now that doesn't mean money's bad. Money's really good if good people have it. But money's really bad if bad people have it. Similarly, power and fame. If it's used with compassion and integrity, it can bring so much benefit to ourselves and to others. And that's where real joy is. In our tradition, we chant God's names and we offer our prayers in this way to be an instrument of grace in whatever we do. I know one person in Mumbai. He and his family were among the largest industrialist business families in India. And because of change of policies, because the government sometimes changes policies that devastate entire industries, trading policies, taxing policies, labor policies, that practically all the people on his level completely shut down. And so many of them were committing suicide or depressed. And he was coming to our ashram every day and smiling and dancing and singing. And while he was struggling like anything to work everything out, all the lawsuits and all the tax issues and all of the liquidations that are necessary, I mean, it was incredible, and it was practically all on his shoulders. It was a huge international corporation he was trying to save. So much pressure. But while he was doing it, and everything was a risk. He was helping feed thousands and thousands of people in the ghettos. He was helping widows and supporting them for their whole lives. He was helping the monks and somehow or other empowering them so that they could go out and actually spread beautiful spiritual knowledge to the world. And I didn't know he was doing any of it. One day, our accountant, he came and said, you know, you don't know, and nobody knows all the wonderful things he's doing to so many people because he doesn't want to get any credit for it. And he gave me a list of how many thousands and thousands of people he was actually sustaining their lives and infusing them with so much spiritual inspiration as well. And he made it through. And his companies, you know, they were changed, but now they're very strong. So what does it mean to be detached? It doesn't mean to just walk away from things. I asked him, how do you remain so sweet and so kind and so charitable even when you're struggling more than practically anybody else could imagine? In the world of politics and business and everything, and labor. He said, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that I have God's names, and I'm so grateful that I have so many people who encourage me and inspire me. He's totally humble. If you're grateful, you're humble. You can't be grateful and arrogant. They're contradictory. If you're arrogant, you can't really be grateful for what you have. You think you deserve it. And when you think you deserve it, you're not really grateful for it. But people who have really worked and achieved, if they have this higher conscious, they're grateful because they know, just like when the stomach provides really good nutrients to the rest of the body, the stomach isn't saying, you should surrender to me, to every part of the body. The stomach understands, without all of you, I can't do anything. And ultimately, without the grace of God, what can we do?
I hate to stop the talk midway, but I thought it'd be nice to discuss. We just have about 15 minutes left of the talk. I'll send the link in the chat if any of you would like to watch it in your own time. I know I'm definitely gonna finish this one. It was just struck me like anything and couldn't look away from it. But yeah, maybe we'll take a few minutes to share any reflections, questions, or any thoughts that you all have. Yeah, Graham, go ahead.
Well, I'd have to say, yeah, the part where he's talking about the redwood trees moving, especially when he talks about the, the sapling coming up and how the roots intertwine. And it just goes to say that, I mean, we may be different, but we're interconnected. And as he was saying, just because you're different doesn't make you superior or inferior. I mean, I see our group here. We have a diverse group of people with different backgrounds, and we all contribute. And I think that's where I equate the redwood trees and people. And of course, he mentioned the body organs. You saw my reaction when he was talking about the Edsel.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that actually.
Well, it was actually, it wasn't a bad design, but it was the way it was marketed. And it was a disaster. And I mean, you see, every once in a while, you'll see an Edsel on the road, and you're, one of those. I think there was the DeSoto was another one that it was so good a design that others tried to sabotage it. Again, it's where, this tendency to exploit and, just feed the greed. I mean, that came out wrong, but the intent is just wrong. It's okay, you're a competitor, I'm going to destroy you, instead of using a spirit of cooperation. And that's why this country is in the mess it's in right now, and the world for that matter. I mean, all these conflicts going on. So, but yeah, the insult. Oh, jeez. But this talk actually evoked so many different reactions. I mean, you saw me, laughing, but I had to turn my camera off a couple of times.
Yeah,
It was very moving.
totally. I liked your point about the redwood trees. It was definitely, yeah, something that struck me too. Yeah, Dana, were you gonna say something? I think I saw your mic, but all right, I can share something. Kind of related to Graham's point, and I was also thinking that there can be so many differences, but we can all unite in the same spiritual principle. And when that higher principle is there, then love can grow in that way. And I also like the story that was shared about their parents being divorced and his reaction as a kid about that. And it touched me because um, yeah, because he was he was saying, talking about finding a higher principle. And a quote that I liked was, real love is serious commitment of responsibility to a higher principle, and how that realization inspired Radhanath Swami to explore that higher principle himself and what it means. And I think it was just a call to personally to look at my relationships also and be like, where are we uniting in that way? And is love the foundation of that relationship? And if not, is there something that I am holding back, or whatever it is, to be yeah, we're loved in that way. Yeah. Thank you, Ian, for joining. Hope you have a good time at your event.
I was going to say something else. This is more technical, but I hope I'm not stepping on anybody's toes here. I heard him chanting Namaste, and of course, I always say that when I meet people, especially from a certain part of the world. Um, I'll say Namaste, and they don't expect it, but literally, I think it means I salute you, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's from the Sanskrit or Hindi.
Yeah, in Sanskrit, like namaste is a way to offer like respect in that way. So the prayer that Radhanath Swami was saying in the beginning was a prayer to all the previous teachers who have helped give the knowledge. So that's how he started by saying that prayer, and it talks about how like um, we're all like in darkness, but our spiritual teacher opens our eyes with a torchlight of knowledge and inspires us. So that prayer is basically offering respect to the spiritual teacher and everyone who's taught it before. And then he also said the Hare Krishna mantra. Maybe you've heard that before. That's also a call for like selfless service, and it's just a nice invocation. But that's interesting. I think namaste, what I've heard from Sanskrit, is just like a way to offer respect. But yeah, I like that point you brought up. It's interesting. All right, I know we're a little above time, but does anybody want to share something as we end off for today? Oh, Shruti's put a point. It means light in me sees the light in you. Wow. I wonder what light means in this way.
Yeah, the light could be the energy in me, the God, whatever the source that you believe that is above you. So it's like I am bowing down to the soul in you, or the energy that is in you. And we believe there is an energy in each one of us. There's either, if you believe in God, then it's the God in each one of us. That is what we are bowing down to.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's super interesting. How did you come across that? Or like how did you learn that? Was it just like something you heard or
I grew up in India, and so I think that's probably where I picked up, and also through learning yoga and the deeper meanings of the Sanskrit meanings and all of those. That's how I came about it.
sweet? Well,
Yes.
Shruti, I think I'm seeing you on Wisdom Wednesdays for the first time. We're so happy you're here.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad I was part of this conversation, and thank you for sharing the link. I joined halfway in, so I'm definitely going to look back at the whole conversation.
Yes. Oh my God. How
Yeah,
did
the one. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
One thing that I really took out of it from whatever little that I heard was when he says, "No small deed is small, and has a ripple effect, and every good deed that you do." And that actually gives a lot of us a courage, because every time you ask a kid to do something, it's like, what difference is it going to make, right? That's the question I get often. I have two little kids, and like, how am I going to make a difference? So that is really encouraging to know. Having that perspective is really good for me to have, and as well as pass it on to my kids.
Yeah, that was such a good point about like an act of kindness having an effect more than you can imagine. Just crazy. Wow. Do you also do yoga, Shruti?
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's so fun. How did you hear about Wisdom Wednesdays?
I think I came in when Radhanath Swami was here.
Oh,
So that's how I learned about the organization and got introduced to the WhatsApp group.
oh, that's amazing. And it's crazy that you came the first time when we had a video.
Yes. Yeah, that's really crazy. That's what I thought. I didn't know what I was signing in for, but that was like, I'm like, oh, wow, this is surprising.
Oh, thanks for joining. Yeah, we meet every Wednesday and we have a amazing community, tight-knit community, and we have some speakers coming in also on Zoom, so they speak with the audience, and once in a while we also do like video talks, so to switch things up. But yeah, glad you're here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Graham, for your message. When I see someone display true humility, it brings me to tears. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Graham. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining Wisdom Wednesdays. This was such a beautiful session, and I know that this community is definitely built out of love. So thank you, everyone. And if you're in Seattle, we have a Kirtan Soul Fest coming up on Saturday. October and November are really great times if you want to come to Bhakti Studio and visit, because we have a special kirtan, like that's Halloween edition. So expect like spooky tunes, and it's gonna be really fun. And then we have one kirtan where it's like Festival of Lights, and it's just gonna be like a party in the house, LED lights and whatnot. We'll have that. And then we have make your own milkshake workshop and so many different things. But yes, feel free to drop in at those events. But otherwise, we'll always see you at Wisdom Wednesdays next week. Thank you, everyone. Have